What's up, YouTube? The Random Outdoorsman is back, and today I'm going to show you how to make char cloth. To start out, just in case you don't know what char cloth is a black-looking substance, and it occurs when you take 100% cotton cloth and you burn it in a low oxygen environment. What that does is it doesn't completely burn this cloth. So when you hit it with a spark, it makes an instant ember. It only takes one spark, and it doesn't even have to be a good one. And that ember starts to grow, and you can from there start your fire. So you want to start out by getting a metal tin, and the first time I did this, I did not use a metal tin. I actually used a soda can and just opened it and drank everything inside and put cotton cloth inside and then kind of sealed back up the lid. But the main purpose is to have a container that the fire cannot burn through, and one that is disposable, and that you can put a couple of holes into. You don't want to allow much airflow into the tank, into the container, because if you do, it will just burn the cloth, not char the cloth. So you see here, I just took my more robust knife, which I'll do a review on that at a later date, and punctured a couple small holes in the top, just enough to let the air out so it doesn't explode, or the lid just blow off, but few enough that it doesn't actually burn the cloth inside. So once you have your container, you need 100% cotton cloth. You actually can use toilet paper, which works, but you have to double it over a lot of times. But just start with some cloth, an old 100% cotton towel. Make sure it's 100% cotton, because if not, this will not work. And you're going to cut it into small pieces of whatever size you may desire. So a good size is about 2 inches by 2 inches, like this, and you can even just rip the pieces. And once you get a couple of those, because it does not take long to make this cloth, so you don't have to make a ton at once, like it's going to take an hour and a half. It's like, I can't waste my char cloth. But this makes very fast as long as you have a hot fire. So you just rip a couple pieces, and since I'm just demonstrating this to you, I'm only going to make 3, even though I'd normally do like 7 or 8 pieces. And you're going to lay these in the bottom of your tin. The tin can be any size as long as it fits the cloth. And then obviously you can cut the cloth into smaller pieces if it's a smaller tin. So once you do that, make sure to seal the container back up so those holes are the only place that air can readily get in. And you're going to put it on your fire. So it's been about 3 minutes, and you see we have a lot of smoke pouring out of those holes. That's a good sign. That means that you have done it right. That does not mean that everything is burning inside. It is charring inside. Probably pretty soon that smoke will catch on fire. There's no exact time for this, because the more cloth you have in there, it might take a little bit longer. And then also it just depends on how hot your fire is. My fire is not very hot right now, but if you have a bonfire and you set this on the edge of it, it might only take like 3 or 4 minutes. But you see, that's a lot of smoke coming out of there, and it might ignite at some point. So you see now the smoke has really subsided here. There's only the tiniest bit coming out. It caught on fire just for a second, but it does not have, the smoke coming out does not have to catch on fire to mean that it is working. I've had it not, and sometimes it's shooting out of there like a blowtorch, but it does not have to. It'll probably be done in just a minute. As you see, the smoke coming out has at this point subsided completely. I went ahead and left it in there for another minute for good measure. And now we will take it out. Make sure not to touch the tin with your hands, because at this point it will boil water. Now when you take it off of the fire, you want to flip it over and put it on the ground. What that's going to do is stop any air from being sucked into the container, because you do not want that. So take that and kind of push it down into the ground a little bit, just so it won't have any oxygen to get sucked into it. And leave it there for just a couple minutes. Okay, now that the can is cool, just make sure to touch it because it is ready once the can cools down. It's still a little bit warm on the top, but it should be fine. So we are going to pry this open. Now make sure that no sparks from the fire fly into here, or all of your work will be for nothing because it will land on this. Okay, there we go. And you see how much those pieces shrinked from when I put them in there. Now you probably want to see, if you don't already know, what does char cloth do when you hit it with a spark? So I'll take one of these pieces and show you. So it especially is used for flint and steels because not many sparks are produced and they're not very high heat. I'm going to show you with a ferro rod though. So you want to get some nice tinder in this, and you'll have your knife and your ferro rod. And what you're going to do is you just want to hit this with one spark or more, but it only takes one. So now there was the one spark. You can see how that's starting to smolder there, and it's starting to get hot. Now you want to put it into your pile of tinder. Just pretend it's an ember, because that's what it is. It's a big flat ember. So put it into your pile of tinder, wrap your tinder around it, close it up in there and blow on your tinder. You can even move it around in the air like this. Keep blowing on it. Gently, you just want to see the embers, the color get to a nice bright red and yellow. You'll see more smoke start to come out. And then you'll see a lot of smoke come out. You can even shake it through the air at this point. Blowing it really aggressively. And you will not be able to hold it nearby. And there's the fire. Yes! So it just spontaneously burst into flames, and you have fire. So from there, you can just put your tinder on as usual, and get nice and toasty warm, and safe from the wild animals. So that's all for this video. Make sure to like, subscribe, and please comment if you want to see any other tutorial videos. This being a new channel, don't know how many people are going to see it, and any support is appreciated. Stay tuned for our next videos, and happy trails.